Coming up tonight, are you allowed to cut meter seals? We investigate. An electrical fire, who's to blame? Rick tests pie temperatures. Gary admits a mistake. And Gordon devours Chris's coffee cake.
Hello and welcome to eFIXX TV, our fortnightly live stream here on Facebook and on YouTube. We nearly missed the start, and this one's going to be an absolute cracker. The dark side of electricity meters, fraud and investigation. And I promise you this will be one that's worth staying on for the entire show, because there's some absolute gems within here. And talking of gems, we're also joined by you, Gordon. How are you?
It is, yeah. This is a show we've been trying to put together for some time. Hopefully it'll answer lots of questions people have, and you know, that contentious issue, removing the meter seal, tampering with the meter. We know loads of it goes on. We're going to dive deeper into that and some of the implications. But you know, this may or may not change your mind. But there's some really good safety advice in there for everybody that we believe the DNOs should be telling you about, but they don't. No. And we'll dive into why possibly they don't do that. But yeah. So
it comes down to education, I would suggest, and we're going to try and add some education to you this evening. And we have also got my favourite guest of all time in the 5 or so years we've been doing it. We've got Dr. Robert Weller joining us as well, who's a forensic investigator. And if you ever get to meet him, hopefully it's not in a court, and hopefully he's not looking on the opposite side. So we'll come to that as we go through. We're going to start off with a photograph. Let's bang up a photograph, and we're going to ask you to look at this. Hopefully we'll be on the screen at the same time. So as we bring ourselves in, look at the image there, and there is an issue with it. We want you to add a comment on what you think the issue is here. Now, it's had us at Lineside Studios scrambling around with many, I wouldn't say guess, a suggestion of what we think the answer is, and nobody here got it correct.
No, I put it in the community tab. I put it out on LinkedIn. This was interesting. One, Joanne, who we're going to meet shortly, she sent this in and actually said what it was underneath, and I'd forgotten by the time I put it into the presentation for tonight. And then it was, we looked at it earlier in the day and couldn't spot the problem. But yeah, if people have a look at this carefully, put in the comments what you think is wrong there. It's quite a complex meter installation.
No, you're underestimating our audience. Our audience will get this one. So please put your comments in what you think the issue is with this. Okay, so that's going to come back to us later on in the show. Because we just want to get into this one, we're going to bring our guests in super quick into this one. But before we do that, I just want to thank LEW Electrical Wholesalers for supporting this live stream, as well as later on in the show when we reveal the winners of Love Your Apprentice. And that is really poignant from our thing maybe that we did on Monday in the news, that we are celebrating all that's great with apprentices within the UK. So that's coming up a little bit later on in the show. And if you're in the shortlist, obviously you'll be waiting to find out if you've won this evening. Let's not delay any longer, Gordon. Introduce the guests. Who's coming in?
It is. We have. I'm going to have to check my list here because we've got that many people in the studio tonight. Actually, let's just have it all done quick.
I think there's scan around. Give us a scan. There's 3 up there. One of them's texting his wife. Okay, no, 2 of them are texting their wife. So there they are. There we are. They're in comments corner. We've got Joe, and oh no, and we've got Christopher Horne. Well done, boys. And in the green room, we've also got our guest that you're going to bring in here. Obviously, as cool as a cucumber. Look at this. They're live in 10 seconds. We've also got your daughter. We've got my wife. You've got your son. We've got Rick, and we've got Jenny. Wow, we've got 13 people in. Let's bring them in. Our guests are Gordon.
Dr. Robert Weller from Electrical Investigations, Joanne Flaherty and David Tierney from Whitecliffe Electrical.
You've all got to come in. They're still sitting there, folks. This is and you come. Oh, and they're still sitting. We can't edit that one out. Okay, Joe. That was when we said your name, Joe. That's it. Yeah.
Where's David?
And Dave. Dave.
There we go.
Want the drink on the way through?
He's got the short straw. He gets to sit next to you.
Yeah, okay. And if it's anything like earlier on, he never spoke. So
I'm the quiet one.
Oh, right, you are the quiet one, Dave. Okay. So let's talk. So we'll start with you, Joe. Ladies first. Okay. Thank you for having a name that's very easy to remember at Team eFIXX. Okay. So thank you for that, Joanne.
Joe with no E.
With no E. Okay. Yes. 60 seconds. Tell us all about yourself. And if you can give a little whiff of your electrical background, it will help people in a few moments bet on whether you're going to be our fastest electrician this evening.
So, I'm Technical Compliance Manager at A Coole Electrical.
You make smoke detectors?
Nope. And we're not air conditioning. We are a safe isolation provider for the mains isolation switch. So we've got permission to work on the DNO equipment and the metering equipment and provide that safe isolation for electricians to do their work safely.
Just give your company name again. It is
A Coole.
A Coole. Okay, so
With an E.
Okay, yeah, but, and we're thinking
Electrical.
thinking about these things here from Whitecliffe.
Yes.
Okay, that we've obviously got Whitecliffe in with us today. So you're the responsibility for that. So have you ever fitted any before?
Me,
These isolators?
yes.
Oh, that's an electrician.
Me personal,
Yes.
not as an electrician. I'm no electrician. So my background is the metering background. So I was a meter engineer for 11 years. So fitting, installing electric meters and gas meters.
So that sounds electrical to me. If I was betting, that's
Yeah, but I'm
if.
definitely not electrician.
I like the way you're playing that down. So thank you for that. So Dr. Robert Weller, thank you for coming back again, making me a very excited human being. For me, you need no introduction, but maybe for one or two new people, you will.
Okay, yeah, well, my name's Rob Weller. I run Electrical Investigations, small company looking at things that go wrong, basically, for forensic investigators and expert witnesses when required. My background, I did DIY electrical stuff when I was young in the 80s. Then went off to university, did PhD, looked at superconductors and various academic things, and I continue the academic stroke practical theme throughout my career.
That's why we've got him back, isn't it?
It is.
Follow that, David.
Indeed. Yeah, David Vs. I'm the Managing Director of Whitecliffe Electrical Distribution. We specialise in electrical circuit protection, work alongside with Joe there, providing the safe meter isolation equipment, and was trained as an electrician back in when the world was in black and white. Not been on the tools for a while, but ended up involved in manufacture and distribution of electrical circuit protection products for the last 20 years.
And just to get it in nice and early, when people are seeing it here, who made these?
Whitecliffe Electrical.
Okay, would you suggest you were the first people to make these?
No.
No, okay. What about the colours?
The colour-coded ones came into the market probably about 2 to 3 years ago.
And you were first on that, weren't you?
We were one of the first.
Yeah. You're playing that very diplomatic, so thank you for that. That sounds like everyone's an electrician tonight. Okay, so what we got to do, Gordon?
Well, we've got to find out if anyone's any good, actually, and we have. We've
No.
pre-recorded this. There's a lot of people, so let's just watch what you've got to do now. It's names and times.
So by getting your times in on tonight's Electricians Challenge, you could be in a chance to win one of these lovely mushroom lights from Cosnick. So who's going to be tonight's winner? Will it be David, Robert or Joe? To win, get the name and the time in the comments.
Compelling story, I would suggest.
It is, so it is time to get everyone's times in.
So we need a name.
We need a name, and how fast do you think they did the Electricians Challenge in? It's dead easy. It's either Joe, it's either Robert, or it's David.
Okay. We don't mind shortening it. It could be Rob, Dave and Joe without the E. It doesn't have to be Joanne, Robert and David. Okay, we'll get a gist of it as you go through. You need the name first of all. That's the only way you can be in the chance of winning one of those wonderful solar lights. And then you need the time. And the fastest time with the correct name will be the one. You can only have one guest. If we go back through and find you've had more than one guest, we will actually eliminate you from the race. So here we go, 30 seconds ago. Anyone?
Everyone's straight in. Aaron Nobbs in with Dave. Dave's the winner, so already. There we go.
That's the. Spacing on, Dave.
Yeah. Oh no, Robert, 3:29. That's ambitious.
It is ambitious.
Yeah, David. No one's gone for you yet, Joe.
No,
I'm not surprised.
Not very good, is it?
There's no.
Just remember, this is Gary, and how he throws everybody a bone in the wrong direction. So we're 10 seconds away from it, folks. Defend yourself, because I'm going in now. My leash is now going to be let's
Someone will
go.
get the join. No.
Oh, someone's gone for Joe.
No,
Well
they
done.
haven't yet.
No,
No,
they haven't yet.
no,
Okay.
no.
Here we go then, folks. Let's see who's up first. It's usually a good sign if you come up first. And it is. Here it comes, folks. The Electricians Challenge. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And it is. Ooh, Robert's up first. Slow start there, Robert. Positioned hand on the top there. And off we go. This is one of 3 races, so it might not necessarily be the quickest one we're watching, but you get the fastest of your 3 times. And normally on the first one, there's going to be some calamities as we go through. Now, I'm a little bit worried, because if I was ever in a court and you were sitting the other side of me, I'd perhaps look at your wiring and suggest that maybe it wasn't as good as my wiring, yet you didn't have an issue. So what's going on here? Do you feel that you're on the wrong side of this, being the person that's maybe got 1 or 2 connections that could be better, Robert?
I would say, yes, you can't rush perfection.
No. Your hairdresser says the same. Does she take 25 minutes to cut that hair? Yeah, that's what's happening. So a bit of smile in there.
Considered here.
This is far, just for clarity, this is far from perfection.
Far from perfection, okay.
I'm not saying this is a good job.
Okay, all right. So if there was an issue, you'd be pointing the finger at yourself at this stage?
I would, yeah, I would not
okay,
normally
like
do
that
this.
one. Okay. But you use side cutters to strip it, which I think is great, and I know everybody noticed it there, like a lunar landing. Your head came into focus there. On one side, we could see a bit of a crater, but yes, we have suggested that Robert used to have hair, but you're back to your original haircut you suggested off camera. So when you were born, that's the amount of hair you had on your head. Is that right?
Yeah,
Look at that, nice bit of copper there.
It's good for illuminating the workplace.
Okay, brilliant. So we're down on our hands and knees now. We're only 4 connections away from completing our socket outlet. Did you find it a challenge? Is it something you've done many times before, or was this a new experience to you?
I have done it many times in non-professional capacity, shall we say.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, but not very quickly. I've never been quick.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no worries. Do you fit smoke detectors at the same time?
I should do. I should do.
Yeah, early escape and all the rest of it. Yeah. Okay. So we've got earth the back box. You did, which gave you a bit of a whiff of an electrical knowledge. Say to us, why am I earthing the back box when there was 2 fixed lugs? Which is, I've got a giant suggestion that you've got an electrical background, but it's part
Sounds
of the
like that got someone out of trouble.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine it? Yeah. I didn't have to earth that back box. He's heard it all before. I'm sure when we get the photographs up and we delve into what Dr. Robert Weller does for a living, folks, you're going to see some
knee as a workbench.
Please don't.
Interesting one.
Here we go. So back. This is the worst bit. Everyone struggled with this. We had a bit of a complaint. It's in the top left-hand corner, and we should have rotated the box down to make it easier for you. It's always been in the top left-hand corner, and as far as I'm concerned, unless we change manufacturer, it will stay in that top left-hand corner. And even I struggle with it. There is some serious glare off that head as well. We should have got a little bit of dusting on it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at that.
I'm getting too old for this.
No, you're not. No, you're not. If it looks slow, Gordon, what's the rules?
It usually is.
And it feels slow. I'm running out of breath. I've got 2 more to go here. So let's... Oh,
that was
leisurely.
relaxed.
Relaxed. Okay.
Confidence. Right, David's up next.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right.
It seems that you have to have the same sort of haircut to go in the first.
Hold on, this look. Oh, look at that steely grin.
Look at this.
Look at that.
One of each.
Yeah.
One of each. You're like tuning the cello in and changing the channel at the same time.
He's done this before. Look at the way those side cutters are sitting in the back pocket there.
Mr. Nobbs is a quite clever man. I would suggest he's gone in. Hello. So this bundle you're going to be on the end here. Let's have a look in here. Let's see if it's going to go. If it don't go up the tube, or it's difficult to get in the tube, it's difficult to come out the tube. I reckon there was a bit. I reckon there was a bit of clever editing there, because that lump looked on the end. Second attempt. There, you're smiling there, David. That looks like a second attempt to me. Round the corner into the top hole. That's a big lump as well going in. Here we go. Concentration.
Focus.
Concentration. Yeah. Oh, we didn't get all the cables though, so we can't concentrate a little bit harder. Here we go then. So we're into the consumer unit. Oh, I can't see the wristwatch. Is that an expensive looking wristwatch? Is it a wholesale world? Is it a couple of £1,000 on the wrist?
I don't want to get mugged on the way home.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, don't drive through Bradford. Well, there's a little bit of extra cable there at the front, so that's all good. Consumer unit, one of your favourite consumer units you're connecting to there, is it, David?
It's one I've come across before.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. It's not one of your own, though, is it?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. And I must admit, I'd missed that, the Whitecliffe consumers. They're definitely worth checking out. I had a look at them today, as well as the products on the table, which I'd seen all of those before. Your EV charger as well, which is pretty good. So, yeah, your consumer units are quite delightful to look at. I haven't got any in the show today. Earth in the back box, again, I don't want to worry you, but you seem to have lost a little bit on the top as well. If it was a carpet in the lounge, you'd probably throw it out. If it was a, I don't know, a floor covering in a kitchen, you'd probably get away with a lino, wouldn't you? As back in the day. Do you remember linos back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't do them anymore. There's no more linos, is there?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, is there?
They call it, yeah.
Oh, what do they call it now?
I don't know. It's Antico or something, is it?
Antico?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, and that's a lino.
Expensive lino.
Okay, and what's the difference between that and the stuff that we used to have at home? If you drop anything hot on
About
it,
40 quid a square metre.
40 quid a square metre, we love it, we love it. 40 quid a square. Anyone got any of that floor dressing at home, please tell me what you like. And when you have to get it up, is it using the flat blade of a shovel in order to get it off the floor? We're only a couple of connections away. This looks reasonable. You don't look as if you made any issues. And remember, the likelihood is one of your other runs could have been faster than this one, and this one looks pretty decent. I love the way you did that at the start, one of each at the same time. Here we go. So we know who's up next. So it's obviously age before beauty as we go in now finally with Joe with no E. And here she comes. Whoa! An early Ramo. We've gone in. We couldn't even reach the start button. This is not the greatest start. A full Ramo, both feet off the ground. What a fantastic start. We twisted the ends together and lost the ends. Oh, that looks good. Hello? What's happening? We've gone, hello? We're going in reverse.
Top down,
wow. Do the high bits first, so you can get your balance back when you get dragged. Oh, we've gone through the middle of them there. What's it? Knit one, pearl one. Hang on. Bit of claret. Oh, white tape.
The white tape. We did wonder what that was used for the other week.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Yes, that's it. No circulation in the thumb. That'll be on the floor in a minute. Here we go then. So we've had a couple of issues there, but we've also come top to bottom, which is what I like. Here we go. So let's see if it comes
I
out.
like
Now we're
that
hoping now.
confidence there.
Yeah. So it could be well edited. It's looking like it's difficult to go down, but we're now down. Do you need the stool now, or are we going to risk it? Oh, tape on your head. There we go. So is it there? That's the question we're asking ourselves. Are we going to uncover the cables behind the box? And if we do, obviously we can make those connections. And here we go.
This is always my favourite approach.
It's not there. Oh, it was there.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And now when we think back historically to people that have gone top to bottom, they have been incredibly fast in the past. And very few people go top to bottom. So I would like to suggest anyone who's currently betting on Joe's probably in a good place. Yeah. Okay, that's a good little technique. I bet you've done that a few times with double insulated cables popping off the outer grey, have you? Leaving the brown and blue behind it.
Used to slightly thicker.
Oh, slightly thicker, yeah. Here we go. So we're going to connect them up. We've only got the socket to go, but don't forget, folks, the consumer unit isn't connected. So, of course, once we've done this, we'll all get incredibly excited. You're going to jump on that step and turn it off. But, of course, the consumer unit does need its final connections as well. How did you find the connections in there, Joe?
Rubbish. Well worn.
A bit like Gary.
I'm sure we're going to come back to screw terminations that have had a lot of wear in the past, and also the tightness of them, whether that be correct, over-tightened and under-tightened, and that's got a handle, by the way.
That's an interesting use of the
I hope you don't use
screwdriver.
that kind of screwdriver when you used to tighten up your meters. Yeah, just going to hold the shaft and open this. Here we go. Leap into your feet like a gazelle. Are you going to use the stool? Are you going to use the stool? That's all we're interested in this stage.
Tools, a workbench, handy workbench there.
Absolutely, you can be up and down like, but this one's all right because you can see under there. I reckon this is a full Ramo coming up, folks. Full Ramo, moving them out the way. Go on. No. How are you going to see in the top of that? Hang on. Oh, Rick, half a Ramo. Come on, we need to get up there.
Tiptoes.
Tiptoes, yeah. Did you know what a Ramo was before you got here?
Yes.
Yes. So is that why you tried to avoid it?
Yes.
Yes, I don't blame you. So look at that, you are. I think you're possibly, until Chris Horne does it. We're gone for a full Ramo. Until Chris Horne takes this on, you will be possibly the shortest person ever to take on the Electricians Challenge. Yeah, that's what we'll probably have. No, my daughter would have been shorter. Yeah, she was 12.
Because he did that the other way around, I didn't realise I finished. Actually, good finishing at the top there, right next to the stop button.
And you're on the step as
Could
well.
reach.
That was good. That was good. Right. We'll see.
Okay, so this is a chance to ring Jenny on the burner phone. Please keep it polite and clean when you ring her up if you're lucky enough to win, because she is the one sending out your prize.
We'll see some timers in. I saw the start, but it took that long.
Here we go.
Hold on, I'll disconnect the power lead.
I've gone. Right, go on in, G-Dog. Over you go. Here he is.
I don't know if I'm in the right place or not. Let's see.
Who are we going for first?
No.
Are we over there?
Is the board long enough?
Well, we might as well start with you.
Who are we starting with?
So I think we're starting with Joanne over here.
Oh, Joanne, you're on the wrong board.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here we go.
it is.
So you're looking quite. You want to be low
At
on
the
this
bottom.
board. High is not.
Yeah, you don't want to be
be
high.
at the bottom.
Do I need to go and put it on?
No.
I'm lower.
Very good.
Lower to the ground.
It's mid-range. Classic mid-range terrier here. So Joanne, you are in there. Just
Did you beat Rick?
ahead. You did beat Rick. And you're just ahead of the fastest Indian to take on the challenge wall. So there we go. So you did this in 6 minutes and 38.
I think that's quite commendable.
That is commendable. That is good.
And I hurt my thumb.
And just for a little bit of context on that, they told me that was half the time you did your first run-in, which was over 12 minutes. So you halved your time. So well done for doing that.
Yep.
So, a bit of excitement over here. Look at it, battle of the boardies. Here they go. So,
It is.
here we go. So what are we going for next?
Well, David next.
Oh, that's not a good sign, David. Let's come back to that. It's not a good sign, is it? But we could be playing you again.
Luckily.
Is he low, is he?
Yeah,
Joe,
we're
do
on
we need
this
some help?
board.
You need me to go?
Yeah, you could put this down here. So moving Richard Few down there. Oh.
Shahid Khan.
Shahid Khan. That's good, actually, just above Shahid Khan.
He writes the
5 minutes 16.
That is an incredibly good time, by the way.
That's good.
That is a good time. I know there's a lot of people taking it. If you go back a year, you're mid-table on there, so that's a great time. Well done, David. But has it won? And I would imagine he hasn't done it in the correct order.
I have, actually.
Oh, right. That was a brilliant. Then you've won.
He's giving it away.
I have, but I mean, Robert did hint on earlier on he wanted to be up here.
Okay, did he?
Yeah, he did.
In Gifford territory.
It now.
Yeah,
Someone
okay.
did. No, it was David. You were saying that.
No,
it was Chris.
It was.
We've saved that one.
Yeah,
back.
Chris Horne's not in.
There wasn't any expectation.
Chris said he didn't want to be able to reach his
I am
height.
back down here.
Oh, you are.
Rob did this in.
Oh, go on.
5 minutes and 9.
That's a cracking time as well, isn't it? That's in electrician country, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Ian Peacock,
mixing people in there. Former electrician territory.
Lee Brodie, Sparky. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well done, Rob.
I'll take that.
Right up there.
Thank you.
Oh, dear me.
Marvellous.
I think that's 3 great times. It's only the amount of people that have done it that have lost you being elevated a lot higher than that. So well done. And that was, as I said, halved your time as we've gone through there.
Never done that before, though.
No.
That was an electricity meter, yeah. Would obviously have to book it in months in advance.
Get that down 4 times before they come and did it.
That was back in the old days.
And then me turn round and say, oh, I don't think I can do this one.
Yeah, go on. How long was it you were without a smart meter for?
About 3 years. It took
3
me to
years.
sort out.
3 years that one.
Yeah, it's
You
still
took them
not
to
smart.
court in the end, didn't you?
Oh, the ombudsman. Yeah,
I've done court.
ombudsman.
It's got
Yeah.
legal case. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay, brilliant. So give us your role, Joe. So what do you do at...
Well, what is safe isolation provider? That's one, because that's a new thing, isn't it?
It is. It's quite a long-winded word. So basically, we provide a service where you can have an isolator fitted by us instead of having to go to the energy suppliers and the DNOs, who really take quite a long time to get booked in. So they can people can come to us, and we can do like a 2-week turnaround.
Okay.
And sometimes we can even book it in sooner than that, depending on area.
What part of the country do you cover?
So all over, the whole of UK, from Glasgow to Cornwall.
Okay, so 2 weeks is the window. Maximum window is about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to sum up the problem for people watching beforehand, if I was, say, working on a social housing development,
Yes.
and someone was doing the rewires,
Yes.
the contractor would have to contact the individual energy company for each and every house
Yes.
to get an isolator fitted.
Yes.
That was the problem, wasn't it?
Yes,
And now they can contact you, and you will doesn't matter who the energy supplier is,
No.
you can go in there and correctly, should I say,
Yeah, safely.
safely,
Yeah.
we'll come on to that, is the one. Now, we have got a video actually, just now. Obviously, a lot of people out there, before we just show the video, obviously, we know a lot of people, believe it or not. Apparently, that seal is missing when you already get to the job. That's what I've heard. And the fuse could fall out when you're at the job. So obviously, I know the eFIXX fuse won't be pulling the fuse.
No. Like Pablo comes along and just drops it out, does he?
Pablo does it, and all that, and we'll get into that and things like that. But obviously we see people show this on social media, and then people just take it a little bit further. So we just pulled some extracts from a video that we found. Let's just have a look at that one.
Okay, so here we have it.
So this is obviously the meter's already off the wall.
Looks like it's laying on the floor because I see a pair of shoes down there. So this is the original meter box or cabinet.
Yeah.
And this is going to be moved into a new location. Is that right?
Yep. So it's a live cable here.
Okay.
So clearly an old cable. It looks like a TNS supply there. So this could be a lead sheathed cable. So it could be a bit of age to it.
Okay. Yeah, the cable conductors are in new colours, whichever one would be suggesting to you there. That cable coming in, isn't it?
On the outside, but not the income. So this is the income, and one out the street we're messing on there with the silicon gloves.
Okay, yeah. Well,
there's that white insulation tape. So
okay, I'm on miss. Oh yeah, it's there on the left. Sorry, apologise. Okay, so that's like a temporary.
There's the cable out.
Okay, yeah. I'm in now. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
there we go.
And he's bit of Copex. Can't go wrong with a bit of Copex.
We're moving the cable back. So that cable could be 60, 70, 100 years old.
Oh. Careful, does it? So he's taken that. This
is live.
Yeah, and he's gone back again. Wow. Okay. And this is a new meter box. Old meter box was on the floor. Original service cable being moved across.
Yeah.
That's got a world of trouble. And when there's a world of trouble, there's only one person to call, Dr. Robert Weller. Okay. What's the massive issue there with moving that cable before we even consider all the other things that was obviously in that video?
Right, if we don't consider all the permissions and the legalities, the technical issues, I think most people see mains electricity, or not most people, but a lot of people will see mains electricity and think, it's just 230 volts, it's fine, we can wear some gloves, it's going to manage the risk. But the big issue there is you've got a circuit which is connected directly to the DNOs network. It may be backed up by a 300 amp, 400 amp fuse. If you were to accidentally short circuit those conductors together or drop a tool across them, something like that, you could possibly have over 1,000 amps, maybe much more. If you're close to a substation, you could have several thousand amps flowing, that's quite a high fault level, what we call a fault, the amount of power that can be, the power that can go into a fault at that point. And if you accidentally cause a fault, that could flash over, it will be a flashover, it will be very energetic, could release a lot of energy, like a small explosion. There'll be, I've heard it being likened to a small grenade going off in your face. So, although it may just look like an ordinary main circuit, there's a world of difference between that and a 13 amp extension lead. So it's the fault level really, the amount of energy that can be released.
Yeah, and that's probably the extremities of what we've ever seen, but we have seen a lot of people take off the meter board and the polos behind it and all the rest of it and relocate it, just sort of think they move, or fold it out the way as they're doing so and then fold it back again. And we've seen that a number of times in videos and in pictures across social media, and it's exactly the same problem, isn't it? We're backed up by the fuse there.
It may be slow to clear, it may not clear at all in some cases.
What's the risk there to the person that's actually going to receive that, say, small grenade going off?
Yeah.
What's that look
well,
like?
The light from a flashover can instantly blind you. 3rd-degree burns on your arms and on your face. Life-changing injuries, really.
Okay.
So the mains cutout, you don't actually know what type of condition that is in. By you moving it, you could actually create a worse condition, be it cracking the cable outer sheathing, which exposes the live copper, which could easily arc across and create a flashover.
Some of these cables can be in a fragile state
they
after
are in fragile.
50 years of service.
Yeah.
And it could be, and I'm sure we'll look into it, it could be that you've moved it and you haven't quite sent it over the edge at that moment in time, but you've accelerated a problem that wasn't there by moving it, and then you cause that flashover in the future, and then that's maybe one of the causes that you might be investigating on a fire.
Yeah, there can be all kinds of defects that can lead to a fault later on when you start putting the system under load. And it may be that, you've got an old cable like that. The lead sheath cables in particular are prone to cracking of the lead sheath, and you can get water ingress into them. That may not be a problem for the installation, that might be a problem for the DNO later, but it can be on a customer premises and it can lead to all kinds of problems.
Yeah. I don't think there's no get out of jail card there, because I think the DNO probably knew where they left their meter box when they were last there, when they investigated. It wouldn't take much to say, well, it wasn't on this new wall of an extension in a box when we didn't move it. But we'll come back to that.
Now,
as
let's
well.
just have a look. We've got a picture of we obviously had someone come here to do a meter change, and they come in the body armour. Have we got a picture of that? There we go. So is this typically what your operatives would be wearing?
Yeah, so our isolator installers are all, they have LV gloves, 1,000 volts, and a flash guard full face visor, and a flash jacket as well. So the most dangerous time is pulling the fuse and putting the fuse back in. And then they also use test equipment to prove not live on the outgoing side of the cutout and at the meter equipment as well.
Okay, just to clarify for people watching that gentleman there was just coming to work on the meter. He wasn't moving the cable that we just saw in the previous one. Okay, so that's just to walk up to a cutout before he does anything.
Fuse.
And I watched him do that, and I was really proud inside, because I said to myself when he did that, he wants to go into his family tonight. Yet I see a lot of people on social media with none of that on, doing all the things that he would do after he knew it was safe.
That guy that's just been on the video, he's got blue plastic gloves on that you'd wear in a hospital or something like that, wouldn't you?
Where he's heading.
Yeah, that's where he's going to end up.
Yeah. So you talked about some of the precautions there. Do you want to go there now with the precautions? Shall we look at what he was doing prior to doing any work on the cutout? Do you want to see some of his tools and that at this stage, Gordon?
Yes,
as we mentioned.
Yeah.
So he's walked up to there, wearing incredible amount of PPE, and considering I've stood and touched it with Rick in loads of other things, I was like, what am I not wearing it for? And then there's some instruments that he can use in order to work out whether it's going to be a danger to him wearing that PPE. So if we bring these in, we can see a picture here. Yeah. And that's is that a Martindale tester we've got in front of us there in both shots? Are they the same tester, Joe?
So that's an intrusive tester, which is a voltage indicator, where you are testing the outside casing of a plastic cutout. Even though it seems bizarre testing a plastic cutout, this type of cutout has been known to break down and create tracking, which can lead to surface voltage. So it's called phalonic degradation.
Can you just confirm that for us, Dr.
I can't say that again.
It's phenolic resin. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
we've all struggled here. So we'll bring that photo back in. We've all struggled here with the pronunciation.
Yeah.
But it has to be at a certain level before we start,
Yeah.
doesn't it? So that instrument wouldn't glow on the left-hand side with a
Touching.
it's touch voltage, isn't it? It has to
Yes,
touch it.
contact.
Contact, there's
Yeah,
a great
so,
word.
yeah.
And that martingale tester becomes live when it hits, is it 50 volts?
No, over 50 volts.
And
Yeah.
that makes logical sense when you're watching this. We know touch voltage AC
Yeah.
is 50 volts, so
yeah.
we're using the same principle there.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a martingale tester. And one of your favourite testers, you use those plug-in
Yes.
voltage indicators in the properties as well?
Plug-in voltage, polarity testers, and also non-contact voltage testers.
You bring the other one in because they're not the
Yeah.
same tester, are they? And
No.
yeah, that can catch
So
people out looking at it.
That's a non-contact, so you
a
can do
volt
that
stick.
on a volt
Yeah,
stick.
that's
Yeah.
what we'd call it.
Yeah. So that particular installation, the neutral was showing up live as well.
Right.
So there was real issues there. Our installer immediately called the DNO because that's the first test that they do before they even touch that cutout is to check that surface
So
for any stray
So
voltage.
if they had this, if that's lighting up there like
yeah,
a Christmas tree,
that's live, yeah.
would they then, what would they do? Would they start removing the fuse?
No, absolutely not. Stop all work, call DNO. That is an A category code, immediately dangerous.
Right.
A19 it'd be classed as. So, but an electrician may not even have any gloves on and they immediately go to that. There may be a chance that he could get an electric shock from that.
Yeah. Now, just that martingale, because people ask us, oh, what's that tester if I just happen to be about to remove the fuse on a black coloured cutout? We've got a picture of that there. The martingale VT7 is the one there.
Yep.
I do believe you can buy them pretty well online. So clearly a lot of people are seeing this problem before calling ACoole in to do the safe isolation or the DNO. But that a reportable situation?
Yes, yeah. So DNO respond within 3 hours because it is that dangerous.
Right.
And rectify whatever the fault
And
was.
because it's black, that's our
Yeah.
first indicator
It
that it
is.
could be a problem. So they're black, they're grey, but we've
Yeah.
also got a link in the description to other issues that could have with that. So if you want any more extra details, there's a document in there.
I've got a pricey one. There's a picture of the loads of different cutouts, Joe. Let's have a look.
Yep.
Have a look. Yeah, so
So
this is
these have
from
been drawn from
this
it.
is from the Energy Networks Association guide, which I've put a link in. These are some of the other classics. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen them all in your time, Gary.
fitted 'em.
Probably
Fitted 'em all.
fitted them.
That's a brilliant document, really, to give education towards knowing what types of cutouts there still is around. Obviously, the age, the condition, the type, most visual assessments, I would be able to tell you that you wouldn't be working on any of those there. But some electricians may not have that knowledge, so they might just see no risk there. And they all need to be reported to DNO so they can get changed up and upgraded.
Yeah, you're safe.
Now, I did put also that guide you spoke, the Macopa guide. I think we've got that
Yeah.
there with a different level. Again, really useful document because this is
Yeah.
what the industry uses
Yeah.
to flag those up. I think I've
That's
got
my Bible. So.
Right, I got a screenshot of that. So this was the one. So that's that category A you
Yeah.
mentioned at the top. And I have, again, put a link in the description for people for
Yeah.
these that you can obviously read tonight to send you off to a very safe place in terms of your sleeping conditions. But a category A, what sort of other things would we see in category A?
So signs of overeating,
Overeating?
overheating.
Oh, right, okay. Signs of
I'm from
overeating.
Sheffield, I miss my ages. Damaged cutouts, loose fuses.
Bitumen running?
Bitumen,
would that be
leaking.
one? That would be A? Okay.
That could be an A if it was not deemed as historic. So it is sort of
So if it was
a risk.
soft and malleable,
Soft,
yeah. And if it was
and-
hard, it wouldn't probably have been
Yeah,
in the past.
that's
a really good one.
correct.
'Cause I come across that a lot when I was doing
Yeah,
sparking stuff.
yeah.
Running bitumen.
Now, we've got some of Joanne's holiday photographs in there, Joe. We can quickly whiz through them, actually, to see some of the other things. Well, tell us if they're category A or B. So,
Okay. Well,
right, so what we've got here, so it looks
I don't
like...
know. What is that?
I think
nothing wrong with that.
someone's diverted the live straight to the cutout, and I like the way they've kept the meter powered up.
Yeah.
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 You can see that sometimes where the neutral actually goes out, where there's only one neutral in the meter, can't you?
Yes,
I've
that's
seen that, and
okay,
I've thrown
yeah.
that out on social media myself before, but this is the opposite, isn't it? Just the one line.
Yeah. So this is theft.
Theft,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So it is a pay-as-you-go meter, so they've ran out of credit, so decided to go straight into the DNO equipment. So the DNO equipment, they do find anybody guilty of theft, they do send people to prison for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some people see this as like modern day Robin Hoods,
Yeah.
but I don't think the court quite see it in the same same
They
way.
won't be making a film about you, and they won't be putting a cartoon in it.
Yeah. Next slide, Joe, please.
These going to get worse. There's going to be a horror show when we go
just
through.
ones,
Look, we're now the little picture. Okay.
Yeah, so that's cutouts completely come off that backboard.
They're made of Weetabix, aren't they?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they are.
Don't nudge them because it will fall
Yeah,
off.
it will fall off.
What category would you put that as?
That's a B code, but
Right.
that does prevent you from pulling that fuse.
Right.
So A codes are immediately dangerous, so you wouldn't touch that at all.
Mm-hmm.
B codes are, if it actually does prevent you from doing the job, then
Right.
it's reportable
Yeah.
to DNO.
Okay.
I wouldn't risk trying to pull that because you don't know what you're doing to that cable inside, because that one cable contains the live and the neutral. So you don't know what
That goes
condition.
back to what Dr. Robert Weller said about you
Yeah.
could have a short circuit on the main
Yeah.
side, 400 amp fuse
Yeah.
backing it up. You've got a face full of daylight. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Next one.
Next one. Right.
So that's within what we call a biscuit tin.
Yeah.
So there is a lid that goes on the top of that, but sometimes you're unable to seal that lid, so anybody can actually open that lid up. Okay. There is normally a fuse carrier that goes into that, but that bottom bit where it's circled in red, that's live conductor, quite obviously. And also one of the back terminal of that, so you can see the neutrals going in, can't you, to that front bit. That back terminal is sometimes also live,
Right.
and that's all exposed all the time.
Yeah.
So again, I've found people storing a key in there. So
Them large ones in the back shed.
yeah.
Wow, just chuck it
So-
across the bottom.
Obviously, if you put in anything that's conductive, that could have easily arced across.
Yeah. So in a metal enclosure. Yeah.
So that's scary. So that's reportable again to DNO.
That's an A, is it?
It's an A code, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a biscuit tin full stop is
Yeah.
it? Is it?
Well, no, it's a metal. At your risk assessment, if it's just classed as a C code, then you can work on it.
Right.
But again, you'd be using your intrusive voltage indicator to check that that metal is not live, it's not got any conducting any live current before you even opened it.
Right. 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 That's a nice.
Electricians should all have one of them now. Yeah. Next one. Yeah.
Right, this was the one we put out there. Now let's just see if anyone got this before. Just give people a few minutes to guess the issue again.
Now, so when I was looking at this, while you're looking, I was looking at it. Now, the middle meter there, okay, so the middle meter, so one on the left, one in the middle there.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult to work out what what looks like, obviously, three-ish, maybe, tails there. They look stacked, so you're constantly looking at that. And then you start looking at the left-hand meter, and you're trying to work out whether there's some burning maybe on the second neutral, and things like that. So I was looking at that. Then I thought, am I overthinking it? Is it a case of the supporting the tails? Well, now the tails have started to be supported now, so this could have been an older installation where it wasn't required. And you suggested that the tails from the metering company don't need to be supported. It's actually on the outgoing side.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I've gone to Gordon. And then I'm thinking there's a couple of holes, and then I thought the fuse connection unit is half out. Is it going to be something absolutely trivial? And Gordon, did anyone get it right?
No, they didn't actually.
Okay, can you break the news to me?
Yeah. Well, Joanne, what's the issue here?
Asbestos backboard.
Oh.
So multiple contractors have all drilled into that, and there's multiple holes all over.
Yeah.
So that means there is asbestos fibres within that area.
Right.
The rest of it's fine, is it? So we're all said something's wrong with that. Is everything else on that?
Yeah. There's nothing else technically wrong with it. It's just that backboard.
So that it wasn't the mini trunking should have been mitered in the right-hand corner then? No, okay.
There isn't a regulation for tidy yet, Gary.
No, there isn't. No FI for untidiness. Okay, so that's...
Not our install, by the way.
Asbestos board. So again, another danger maybe electricians could overlook at times.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not a DNO issue.
No, it isn't.
So what would that be?
So that'd be the building manager, because it's a multi-service. So it would be down to the homeowner as well.
Right.
Okay, don't touch it.
And obviously registered asbestos people to remove it. But they would actually need to have all that equipment taken off it as well.
Oh, right, okay, that's a big job then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, don't touch it, I would suggest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Next one.
which is the one people can miss, just before we go on there, is obviously because a lot of people now are using cement board for solar installations.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see it a lot more in installations. So you might go to that and just assume it's a modern day cement board, where in fact it's actually asbestos. So
I always tell our guys, if you suspect it, just don't touch it. If you think it is, leave it.
But nobody does any work, do they? Metering companies, all back in the yard by 9 o'clock. I went to all the jobs, you wouldn't believe what I saw today. Okay, moving on to the next one. And we've got, right, okay, for those who are shorter-sighted, okay, I'm going to need someone to help me here. So I'm struggling to see that a little bit. Looks all right at a glance. What am I missing here, folks?
So we've actually got an isolator, which is great.
Yep.
But those connector blocks...
Yes.
Can you see those? They come before the isolator, and one of the consumer units is going straight into those connector blocks.
Right.
So that isolator's only isolating one board, not everything. So an electrician might be fooled thinking that's going to isolate everything, and it's actually not.
So is this an issue to... This is an issue to you, though, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's whoever has installed those connector blocks.
Right, okay.
In the wrong place.
Right, okay, so you're taking responsibility for the error, effectively, of the connector blocks. Okay, that makes sense.
So we would change that.
A modern cutout, though, so yeah, we've made another mistake, yet everything was all right up until that point.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Next one. Nothing to see here, folks, move on.
Yeah. That was just covered up by a wooden board in somebody's house. Live connection, DNO. Reportable.
So I take it we've piggybacked off the incoming line now, have we? Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
We're stealing electricity, is what I'm saying.
No.
No, wow.
That is basically the termination for the live. It's not a tamper or anything. It's just how it was.
Okay, so we've got something coming in the top of that screw and then going into the meter. So effectively, the incoming line passes through that connection.
Yeah.
I think someone's worked hard there with a bit of 4-inch trunking to make that, Gary.
Yeah, well, I hope I can't see the grommet strip on the left-hand side, and I don't know what the insulating tape laying over the top is. Okay, yeah, that's... You can't believe this stuff's out there in the wild, can you? And we move on to the next one.
Right.
Okay. It wasn't found like this, was it?
Yes. Can you see the sheathing? It's shrunken, and so it's exposing the neutral conductor.
Where's that?
Underneath the cutout.
Underneath the cutout,
Oh,
on
yes,
the
right,
neutral side.
Okay.
So
is that the only
it's
problem?
supposed to have. It's
Would
supposed
have been the first problem I spotted.
It's supposed to have a crutch cover over it as well. So
was the fuse in and all the rest of it?
Yeah.
When they got there?
Yeah.
So we've taken it off to this stage to show the fault. Okay, right. Okay, so it's not screwed back, so we know straight away we shouldn't be working on it. Is it floating, or is it just absolutely on the piffle?
It's on
the piffle. Okay, yeah. All right. So okay. All right. So yeah. So we've got a little bit of shrinkage.
Yes.
Okay. Can happen to all of us. Moving on to the next one.
Right.
Again, where.
So that's the neutral again, is it?
Yeah. And the live's going in, and you can actually see a little bit of the live conductor as well.
Okay, where it's bright. Is that a concentric cable been split open, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So whatever was on there wasn't doing its job or has been damaged.
And again, a crutch cover should be over that as well.
I do like the crutch cover.
Yeah.
Crutch cover. Yeah, you're going to use that.
Yeah, yes, every opportunity I'm going to mention my crutch cover. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no problem. Moving on to the next one, hopefully we'll see a crutch cover. No, we haven't. Nothing wrong here. My house is still working.
Yep.
So theft, do you come across this often?
It's getting more popular.
Right. Okay.
It's a new on-trend thing.
It's on trend at the minute.
Wow.
Yes.
But again, what are they hoping that when the doorknob rattles or they hear something, they're going to rush out there, put the cover back on, whip it out, and no one's going to know? Or is it just brazenly think, I'll do it until I get caught?
I've no idea. I can't comment on that, really.
They're just pushed in, aren't they? Just laying on top of those connections.
Just pushed in. It's more concerning. It's the safety issue, isn't it? That's going to burn out eventually.
Yeah.
And they do melt and set on fire.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one,
Great
Joe.
photograph.
That's it. Oh, there you go. Just like that.
And here's one we melted earlier.
And that isn't the same one. That's in the same area, a couple of houses, all. So it's obviously someone is
Going round
the neighbourhood.
I think Dave down the pub. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh,
Different
Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, get you in there, Dave.
It's going around the
Said anything,
neighbourhood.
Got thrown under the bus straight away.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I've got this tip for borrowing electricity.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened there.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Right.
So these are tenanted properties, so people are living in properties like this, and that's a ticking time bomb because it's just going to eventually burn out.
Your people that work for you would then
Report
straight
that.
away leave because obviously this might be a criminal thing. You know,
It is a criminal thing, yes, as well. So it's got to be handled sensitively.
Yeah. All right, no worries. And have we got any more?
There we go. Oh, there we go.
Pretty exciting photographs there, David. Hello, I'm Gary. Nice to meet you. You enjoying the live stream?
Oh, it's good so far. Yeah, I'm enjoying listening to
Brilliant.
amazing people.
Right, so the next, obviously, common one. I mean, they're shockers, but again, I'll check out the 2 links we put in the description because there's great training you can go through to spot a lot of those problems.
Yeah.
And again, even the coding system gives you some
Yeah.
ideas of how risky it is. The common one, obviously, is people don't tend to use a safe isolation provider. They'll just go in there and pull the fuse out. Hopefully now you'll be getting the face mask and that surface contact voltage indicator before you do it.
Hopefully you'll ring
Well, they
someone
can
and not do
just
it yourself.
ring us and we'll fit you with an
The
isolator.
right people to do the right job.
No.
We're going to plaster into wire your house,
Yeah.
but you think you can do the job somebody else has been trained for?
Yeah, we're going there. But
Good.
I've heard, on a well-known online retailer, you
Right.
can buy a set of seals. So I could just cut the seal, put it back on, stamp it. No one would ever know.
Right, with sealing pliers.
Yes, with sealing pliers.
So, and so that code on them sealing pliers are registered to us.
Right.
So if it's just a blank stamp, then you know full well that that's not an authorised company that's done that.
I've got a friend.
You've got
Okay, I've got
of a friend,
I've got a
of a friend.
I've got a friend, okay, who maybe had access to seals
Yes.
and sealing wire.
Yes.
And what my friend used to do was use his crimping tool for
Yes.
red, yellow, sorry, let's get it right, yellow, yellow, blue and red.
Yep.
And if you put it in the end too, you could actually get one of them to, my friend said, I don't remember that clearly,
Yeah.
but my friend said you get the first one to crimp and the second one to put a dink in the tail. So at least it looks a little bit like,
Well, if you've got a high quality pair of crimpers, you might get the 2.5 in.
yeah, absolutely. So
You can do all of that, but at the end of the day, if you're not actually educated enough to realise where you shouldn't be doing things,
Right.
then
So those.
you are putting yourself at risk, aren't you, really?
So the seals that you fit, have got a number to
Yeah,
them.
there's numbers registered to our company, to that engineer.
yeah.
So
So he's so straight.
trackable.
Yeah, so straight away, if Dr. Robert Weller's called in,
Yeah,
and we'll call him
yeah.
in a second, and you potentially have a problem,
Yeah.
you'll be able to highlight the person that did that install from their seals.
Yes.
Okay, but we get to that point. We've had a fire. So someone's gone in, they've maybe pulled out the cutout fuse, God forbid, retailed the outgoing side, maybe put a switch in for the next electrician or something like that, and now there's an issue, okay, and maybe the building's come down, maybe there's been a fire, maybe, worst case scenario, someone's perished. Talk me through that process.
Right, well, if there's been a big fire, the first people that really get involved are the insurers. But at the same time, the network operators have been made aware if the fire is in the vicinity of the supply equipment. So, whether it involves the meter or the cutout or the consumer unit or anything in that area, quite often investigators will come along on behalf of the insurance company of the building, but also on behalf of the electrical companies that are involved or may potentially be involved. So they are at an early stage gathering evidence, and that's the stage where these investigators will call themselves forensic investigators. They'll be gathering every bit of burnt out copper, bits of resolidified copper beads on the ground. They'll be getting any burnt out meters, cutouts, equipment, sticking it all in a bag, taking lots of photographs and gathering as much evidence as they can. They may gather witness evidence, they may gather CCTV. That's the data gathering stage. And then, once that's all done, there'll be arguments down the line about who may be to blame, and ultimately, in terms of insurance, whose insurance will cover the cost of that rebuild or whatever. And these cases can go on for years. They can go on, for several years until they settle or an agreement is reached. But investigators will be looking for things like meter seals, evidence that the equipment has been tampered with or is left in its original state. And then there'll be arguments amongst the investigators. The investigators acting for the different parties will then decide amongst themselves what they think happened, and they'll write their respective reports for their clients. But ultimately, if it does proceed to court, then these investigators become expert witnesses, and their duty is to give evidence to the court, because it's a legal thing. You've got barristers, solicitors involved, and they're all very, very clever people, but they don't have necessarily the technical knowledge to know what's happened. So they rely on expert witnesses to tell them. And in my experience, once these barristers are up to speed with the case, you've given them all the facts. You've said, for example, I've been somewhere, I've gathered evidence, and I've found a loose screw, which may well be the cause because of resistive heating. These barristers can then ask the right questions of the other parties. And if it goes all the way to court, then they'll ask some very searching questions, and those questions may be targeted at installers, they may be targeted at DNOs, they may be targeted at electrical contractors who've been on site. And the problem that often happens is that electricians can find themselves in the crossfire. So we were talking earlier, it might be that the fire has started under the stairs where the metering is and where the consumer unit is and where the cutout is. The electrician may have been in there 2 weeks before, done some things, gone away, and then the house is burnt down. So naturally the finger is pointed at the electrician, something that he or she has done has caused the fire. It may be nothing to do with that. So the investigators will try and gather the evidence. It may be the tumble dryer in the room next door has caused the fire, and that fire has spread under the stairs to attack all the equipment. So when investigators go in and they see a cutout or a meter that's all burnt out, there'll be certain things that the investigators are looking for to determine whether the fire started on that equipment or whether it was involved in the fire at an early stage, but the fire may have started elsewhere. So it can be quite an involved process, and it can be literally a needle in a haystack trying to find out what has gone on. But this is a time when electricians will come under very close scrutiny, even if, like I said, the electrician may have nothing to do with it. But the investigators will want to see all the test certificates, the loop impedance readings, the R1 and R2 readings, and all the other factors that may be relevant, and we'll look at protection clearance times and energy release curves and all kinds of things, depending on the severity of the case. If it's just a small case and there's a small loss, generally behind the scenes some agreement is reached. Insurers may say, well, we'll pay, or we'll go 50-50 or whatever. But if it tends to be a big loss, or if someone's been injured, or if there's a fatality, then there'll be much, much more scrutiny going on. Yeah. So, yeah, I get involved in an early stage, but also at the later stages when it goes to court.
Now, that sounds like, if I was at, obviously, DNOs, big organisations, massive legal departments, it's sort of David versus Goliath. That sounds like an incredibly stressful situation for an electrician to be put under, because obviously, suddenly have to produce all those results and reports and things like that.
It's horrible. I've been in cases where electricians have installed equipment and the equipment has caught fire. The electrician has done nothing wrong. They've been sold some bad equipment, but it does not look good for the electrician who's at the heart of that, and everyone's saying, oh, the electrician's done something wrong, they've burned the house down, credibility's out the window, you know, no one wants to use them anymore, etc. And these cases can rumble on for years until there's a settlement. You know, and a few years ago there was some certain makes of miniature circuit breakers which would catch fire, which is partly why London Fire Brigade introduced the requirement for a metal consumer unit. So that was one thing to stop fire spread. But there's other things, you know, that have gone on over the years. But yeah, the electricians find themselves in a very difficult position, and sometimes the insurers, because ultimately the claim isn't against the electrician, it's against the electrician's insurance. But even so, the electricians are in that difficult position where it looks like they're to blame. And sometimes the insurers of the electrician will appoint an investigator, and it will all happen behind the scenes, but the investigator will represent the interests of the electrician. Saying that, if an investigator finds that the electrician has done something wrong, ultimately if it goes to court, that information can't be hidden. The electrician just, the investigator just has to share the facts. So it may be that if, in that case, if there is clear evidence that the electrician has done something wrong, the electrician's insurers may choose to just settle behind the scenes rather than let it go all the way to court. But it's quite a protracted, long drawn-out process, and anyone involved in the crossfire, whether they're to blame or not, they'll be getting lots of sleepless nights, and there's no easy way out of that. You know, it's very, very stressful. I wouldn't ever wish that on anyone. But yeah, when legal teams do get involved, you know what it's like. They can't answer. Well, I don't know if you do know what it's like.
We'll have your story in a minute.
You know, there'll be letters toing and froing. There'll be questions. There'll be accusations. They'll say, you know, so and so did this, so and so did that. But ultimately, in order for it, so I'm not a legal person, and if it does ever go to court, then the solicitors and barristers will have to prove a breach of duty on one of the parties. So even if I come in as an investigator and I find blindingly obvious evidence that some particular device is overheated, that doesn't necessarily mean the installer of that device necessarily is held liable for it. If they've done everything that's reasonably practicable to install that device and to maintain it, and they've done what is reasonable, then the court are not necessarily going to find them liable for the loss. So it is not always a straightforward thing. I like to focus on the technical aspects, and then we just let the legal team argue afterwards.
Okay, so I'll put it to you on a technical aspect here. There's been a fire in the service head, yep. But it turns out they start the investigation process and they find out the seals weren't the original seals that were put on by the safe isolation provider. And Gary, it was you in the library with those pliers you got off a well-known online retailer.
And we've obviously got a new set of tails going into the brand new consumer unit on the other side. Am I starting 4 strides behind where I need to be? Because it looks a very easy finger to point, doesn't it? Seals are gone, new tails are in, which we see very regular across social media. Am I going to be sweating quite heavily?
Well, the owner or operator of the failed unit will effectively breathe a sigh of relief and have a get out of jail free card. It may not be quite as black and white as that, but if, for example, a DNO has a cutout, the cutout catches fire, but investigators find that has not been sealed, there is no evidence to suggest that that cutout was left as it should have been. Yeah. Someone's come along and disturbed it. That person may have loosened the connection, and as we've done before, we've spoken about resistive heating and how you get heat as a consequence of current going through a connection. And if that connection is loose, it's got a higher than normal resistance. It can degrade in service. Most of the fires, incidentally, that we see are to do with high and prolonged loading. So things get up to temperature over a long period of time, and they degrade over a number of years as well, because you get oxidation effects. So a connection that may be reasonable today, we're going a little bit off tangent here, but we like to talk about talk, don't we, Gary? So
we do like to talk about talk.
Talk the talk. But things can deteriorate over a period of years, and it may be that someone's fiddled with that connection years ago. So it can quite often be difficult to pin blame on an individual if someone else has come along and made an adjustment. But on the other hand, the DNOs will quite often deny any liability in such a circumstance.
Someone's already said that in the comments. They will just basically refuse all liability, even if it's slapping them in the face.
All insurers will deny any claim, regardless, at the early stages anyway.
Look at it from their point of view now. You've gone in and touched something you clearly wouldn't. Who's to say you didn't give it a whack, a hit, you missed with something, you wiggled this, you wiggled that, what have you done? You've done something you shouldn't do, which is cut the seals on the cutout, cut the seals on the meter, interfered with it, and then happened to have a fault that wasn't yours, but you can see it, can you? You are not really going to be able to talk yourself out of that one because you were doing two things you weren't meant to be doing before you started. So who else could suggest you did something else wrong? Yeah, give it a little tap.
Now, Joanne, when you actually work on a meter, obviously, what's the process behind that? Because obviously there's an audit trail somewhere, because someone knows who was in the library at the time with Gary's pliers.
So smart meters nowadays have anti-tamper covers, meter covers. So as soon as that meter cover is taken off, that sends an alert to the actual energy suppliers that someone has taken that cover off.
Right.
We, as a safe isolation provider, part of our obligation is to inform the energy suppliers after we've been, to let them know that we've actually worked on the equipment, so they don't set the ball rolling and maybe create an investigation because they don't need to, because we've actually got authorisation to work on that meter and also work on the DNO equipment. We have to send a data flow 24 hours after we've fitted the isolator. So the supplier knows and the DNO know as well.
Right, so they've got that in their files somewhere.
Yeah, and I've got it registered.
You've closed the loop.
Yeah.
If the tamper thing's just gone off and then Dr. Robert walks in a couple of years' time raking through the ashes, they'll know that was triggered at 10 o'clock in the morning on that, and the loop wasn't closed.
Yeah. I love your little giggle there. It's like everyone's sitting there, they're sweating like hell of it now. They go, what do you mean it's this data is going to be stored? Now, we mentioned a bit today about tightening up and terminations. I'm going to bring you in at this one, Dave, because absolute isolator here, the Whitecliffe Isolator, we've seen these everywhere, but what's really interesting about yours, electrical, let's do a little bit of electrical stuff. I want to take the cover off and have a look on hand cam. What's staring me in the face there that maybe not all isolators like this actually have got?
Well, when we decided to design this particular range of products, thinking about the use that they were going to be put to, my first thought was double terminations all the way. And all our meter isolator products, including the isolators in our consumer units and three-phase units, are all double screw termination. So you get that extra security, even if you get a little bit of thermal heat build-up, you're very, very unlikely that both screws will undo and release the cable. So
exactly the same as you've got in the meter. Yep. Every time you take that meter off, there's two screws in. There's a reason there must be two screws in there. We talked about the amount of metal and brass, and over the years, how they've deteriorated. You've actually probably rowing against everyone else to a certain degree. I know you, after the opening statement, David, I know to be careful now. Okay, so you've gone two screws, which makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, because again, when I was on the tools myself, it was always that the number of times you went to a job and it was the meter tails, they'd been overheating, the screws in the main switch burning out. So when we started Whitecliffe and had this specially manufactured for us, that was the first thought, was that extra security, and working with people such as Joe and getting the feedback from them. Well, you know, what do you want? What do you need? Gives us that extra ability to work with our partners to say, you know, that's how we want it doing.
Yeah, and anyone got a little bit of grey on the top like us two, mate. We remember those, maybe those old Wilex consumer units, don't you? But we might have been taking them out. They had that much brass in them, it would have been worth keeping now. They had 2 great big screws in there, didn't they? And now we've maybe changed the design, and we talked about this in one of our videos about perhaps a little bit more value engineered and sort of stuff. You've actually gone the other way, haven't you? So rather than trying to get it down to its bare minimum, you've decided how important it is, linking into here and here, that you want the best possible electrical connections where you've got your isolating switches.
Yeah, because again, you could probably go out there and buy a slightly cheaper unit, but has it got the same engineering features? Is it just a standard main switch that somebody's put in there, or is it specifically designed for the job that you want it to do?
Yeah,
Good to see.
yeah, it is good. Yeah, because
So we talked earlier when we were talking about these blocks as well. I've investigated a few cases where the screws are tightened up, but they may have cut the tail slightly short, so it's only actually nipping onto one screw, whereas the other one's all the way bottomed out, gripping nothing. And that does make a difference. And I say quite often, these are statistically quite rare events, but I do see failures where just having one screw is not enough. Having 2 belt and braces is good. And I think something like that with a bit more thermal mass, as you say, Gary, it takes longer to heat up, it dissipates that heat as well. It's less likely to fail in service.
yeah, and again, I'm going to push it because he's the greatest guest I've ever had. You're the second greatest guest, Dave, by all accounts, okay? So your first input in that first
relegated
25
there,
minutes, 20 minutes
Don't mind.
was great.
I was just fascinated by what they were talking about.
But again, we did that in our conversation piece, didn't we? The amount of material, thermal runaway, and if you have a chance to go back and watch some of the videos that we made previously, I learned so much, and it was incredible to see how something like that over a period of time can generate enough heat, and then you start getting a problem. So when we're walking away from our installations, having had a little dabble down in the meter area, 6, 12, 18 months, you're getting on with the rest of your life, you don't know what's happening at that cutout and how much heat it's starting to raise, and that problem's just around the corner, maybe half a turn away from coming back to you, I would suggest. And you just don't want to be anywhere near it. I would not want to be anywhere near it. No. When you think about consumers now, tail clamps, glands to hold them, we're pinning them back, and then we get to the meter end, we couldn't give a rat's because we're just wiggling them around, get them in there, nothing else, get them in there, pull out the cutout fuse, back in with the cutout fuse. It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But you can make a failure, so you can wiggle the tails at one place and cause a failure somewhere else because of that mechanical linkage. You're making things work loose.
Yeah.
So we sometimes see that in cutouts, even though they're sealed and they haven't been tampered with. Someone has tampered with the other end of the meter tails and caused a problem at the cutout. So I would personally say if anyone's fiddling at the other end, they should go back and check the screws in the cutout. I'm not sure what standard practice is, but I see...
I love that. So Dr. Robert Weller's now telling you, pull the cutout fuse, take the service head off, give it a little nip up in both. They'll be live as well when you go in there, but just remember, save that piece of footage. It's just give you the best get out of jail card ever. Now I think it's time to have a mini break and we can reassess where we're up to. Let's give some stuff away. Let's go with LEW. Sorry. LEW, electrical distributors, wholesalers for the next bit price. Here we go. The video of the prize where I did the bit with Gaz. Yeah, do you know, my section, Gary's famous. We're going to have that. Love Your Apprentice, my bit, my chance to be on TV, on my own, being the shining star. I shot it today, 3 minutes. You can find it. Please tell me you've got it. I might cry a little bit in a minute. Okay, shall we go to Rick's talk time? Yeah. Let's go to Rick's talk time. It's what I really want to watch, don't we? Rick's talk time.
A thermal imaging device can be a valuable addition to any electrician's toolkit, especially for those working in maintenance environments. It helps identify problems before they escalate, whether it's tracking down overheating equipment, loose connections, or wasted energy. But do you really need a full-size thermal camera, or can this compact plug-in device do the job? Today, we're testing the eFIXX Micro Mini E to find out if it's up to the task. This is a budget-friendly device, and I'll leave a link in the the description to a well-known online retailer that offers next day free delivery. However, don't let the price fool you. This thermal camera is packed with useful features. It connects directly to a smartphone via a USB-C port. Initially, I thought this might be my excuse to upgrade to the latest iPhone, but eFIXX Micro cleverly includes a USB to Lightning connector in the box. They also provide a small USB-C to USB-C adapter, which is particularly useful if you have your phone in a protective case. Additionally, the camera can be used remotely with the included extension lead. Once plugged into your smartphone, you're prompted to download the eFIXX Micro Viewer app, and just like that, you're in the thermography business. We've used similar plug-in devices on the channel before, but this one stands out because it's significantly cheaper and powered directly from the USB port, meaning no batteries to charge. Before diving into the technical specifications, let's consider some practical uses. If you're inspecting solar installations, this device is perfect for checking the integrity of solar connections and DC isolators, which are a major cause of fires. With a thermal camera, you can quickly perform comparative tests between connectors and easily spot overheating, which could indicate a mismatched connector, poor crimping, or moisture ingress. For those working on energy efficiency programs, nothing highlights waste better than a thermal image pinpointing the source of the problem. Looking up at the bedroom ceiling, it's clear I have some investigation work to do. There's a large cold patch which could lead to mould. There's always something in there. It's an excellent tool for shifting blame to plumbers and basking in the satisfaction of identifying why energy costs have spiked. At the distribution board, it's easy to identify heavily loaded circuits. For example, here we can immediately spot the circuit supplying an EV charger. Opening up the board might even reveal loose connections. However, keep in mind that depending on the load, circuits naturally warm up in operation. Regular surveys can help track changes over time. The Mini-E also allows you to record thermal video, documenting how long equipment takes to heat up or cool down. The device offers several options to make thermal surveys easier. You can adjust the colour palette for better image clarity. A particularly useful feature is the ability to highlight high temperature areas while isolating them from the background, ideal for comparative tests. It can automatically detect high and low points in an image while measuring, or allow you to manually select up to 3 measurement points. Results can be exported as a PDF report, complete with both thermal and photographic images, making it easy to communicate findings to customers. Best of all, you can even import your company logo for a professional touch. The eFIXX Micro Mini-E is positioned as a high-end entry-level thermal camera with a 96 by 96 resolution, meaning each image comprises 9,216 individual pixels. However, eFIXX Micro Super IR technology enhances images for greater clarity, making them comparable to those from higher resolution sensors. One important consideration is the recommended maximum scanning distance of around 2 meters. If you need to scan building exteriors or substations from a distance, you might need to upgrade to a more advanced model in the eFIXX Micro range. The device's temperature measurement range spans from -20 to 400 degrees Celsius, with an accuracy of plus or minus 2%. It supports measurements in both landscape and portrait modes. For greater accuracy, users can adjust the emissivity settings to match different materials, ensuring precise temperature readings. All in all, this is a simple to use piece of kit that provides valuable insights for electricians and engineers alike. If you've used thermal imaging for surveys, I'd love to hear about your experiences. Let me know if there's any aspect of this device you'd like me to explore in greater detail. Just turned up at our local wholesalers. It's Friday, it's Pi Day, but I've got concerns that they're selling them at the wrong temperature. Let's go have a look. These are clean. Now then, can a 30 amp strip connector and a Pi, please?
Yeah, it certainly can. There's your 30 amp strip connector, and those are Friday for Pi.
Outrageous. If you want to know more about the eFIXX Micro Mini-E, I'll leave a link in the description below.
Oh, so, okay. So we've got the eFIXX Micro Mini-me. Mini-me. Okay, so it's mini-me. Okay, do you remember that from Austin Powers?
I do,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're going to try and, I'm going to kill you, Mr. Bond, £1 million. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So I think for the first time ever, we don't need you to drop to your knees, young man. I think you can stand up and we're going to coo it down together. Now, for the first time ever, I'm your mini-me. Okay, all right, okay. So we know what we've got to do in order to get the micro down. Okay, we're going to have to use the following call sign. You're used to this. What is the call sign? No. Tool.
Oh, true.
Tool. Do you feel at all?
Yes.
yes, good. That's the idea. So in this section here, anyone who has Chris as a lecturer, we're going to spend the next minute or so trying to make Chris feel like a right tool. So imagine that tool's in the back of your throat.
Yep.
Okay, and I really need you to pull it in. Okay, so you feel it right in the back of your throat. Okay, so ready? No, that's not good enough, is it? Because it would have moved. Okay, so what you've got to imagine is my tool is inside you and you're trying to get it out. Okay, so get that tool out. So I'll practice first time. You can have my tool and then throw it out yourself. So here we go. Just before we became 18 plus. Okay, well done. Here we go. So here we go. It's the mini-me, micro. Now, I watched you upstairs already suggesting. What do you think about it, young man?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Okay, fits into a phone, but it has to have a USB-C connection, and that's what you've got in your phone. So
No. You haven't watched the video, have you?
No, I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
What is
okay.
it?
Just don't put it on the board. It works with both.
Does it work with both? Oh, right, okay. I only saw it in the box. I haven't seen it yet, no.
Adapters.
Now, do you want to keep it, is the thing? So it's you or Rick can have it. God, it's micro, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
And so, oh, look, it's got both adapters. No, I haven't seen it because nobody showed me it earlier on today because I was too busy working like an absolute horse.
Oh, yeah.
That is lovely, isn't it?
And
Okay.
it just,
Right.
It's a big package for a little thing.
Yeah. That's what the wife didn't say. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to get the stool for you because I've got a feeling it might be above halfway.
Right.
Okay, so we've got the stool. Okay, now it can't be the greatest stool we've ever had, can it? Because it's right up in that top corner. You're never going to get it there.
Never gonna get that.
Okay, so we'll just confirm the rules. I'll put it on the most lethal bit of flooring I can for you. So if it's sort of down here, we're doing 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10, 11, and then 9.5s and things like that up here. So if you want to join,
What comes after 5, Gaz?
5, 6 if you
Right,
need, if you need hand.
All right.
Right, okay. Right,
Yeah, no,
okay. Ready?
we're definitely going
Tell me when you're going for it.
We're going up.
Wow, this is going to be the limit, isn't it?
Yeah.
6.
Here,
No. Where do you want to put it?
I'm going to put about a 9. Good 9.
Good 9. Good. A little bit higher. Yeah. Go on. Higher.
No.
No.
Go for the car. I'll take the money.
Yeah.
Higher.
Absolutely. You got there. Yeah. Well done. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Hang on. Stay there on your stool. Look at that. You're 5'10".
I know.
Look at that.
I know, it's
5'10".
great, isn't it?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Let's go back to the team.
It smelled different up there.
Well done, Chris. No, I haven't watched the video. That looks an amazing bit of kit.
It is. And
Rick's took it home and saw that he owns a sieve. I mean, a house, but it actually leaks heat everywhere, doesn't it? Fits in nicely with tonight's subject matter, though, doesn't it? Okay, just from a basic point of view, you've got that ability to maybe see something you can't see by using that thermal camera, along with other
We
amazing
can melt some things tomorrow as well on the rig over there.
Yes, we have got a Variac over there. We're going to put 500 amps through something.
Yes,
green
yes,
room.
we
You
are.
see the green room? We've got some kit in there. Let's have a look at.
Rick, do you want to wander in with hand cam, Rick, and just have a little look for me? Rick's got the ump.
Yeah, so
There we
we've got
go.
the,
So let's see what Rick's got in his hand.
Yeah, we'll
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's from your laboratory, isn't it?
That's right, my secret lab.
Your
Yeah.
secret
So
lab.
we're gonna have a look at some some overheating stuff
Would have
tomorrow.
tidied it up if I knew it was going to go on camera.
They were. I mean, Chris was loving it in there. And again, thank you ever so much for Chris for joining us. Again, Chris is part of the eFIXX team, and whenever he can come across, he does. And he's retiring very shortly, so he should be able to do some more work for us, which links into some stuff we'll do for colleges. And we will find out who's won our colleges, because the video footage was there, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Okay, young man. So we're in the second one. We've mentioned fires there. Okay.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of questions have come in from people. Is that, obviously electrical installations are all checked every 5 or 10 years. We know that. I mean, that just goes without saying. Why aren't the DNOs checking their networks? It's like, that's the.
There's one we never practiced earlier.
Well, they do have a process of condition-based maintenance, and I can't speak for the DNOs. They have their own policies. I do inform their policies sometimes. I help DNOs, but ultimately it's for them to decide. There have been some major court judgments which are used as case law in the past, and on one occasion at least there's been cases where equipment that DNOs own has actually caught fire, started a fire, but the judge has decided that the DNOs have done what is reasonably practicable to maintain them, and they have not been in breach of duty. Therefore, the judge has not suggested they need to do any more than what they have been doing.
It's reasonably practical then. What they've been doing?
Nothing.
Well, where
On the 3 licks of the lips, and it's like, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
Well, traditionally they would have delegated some sort of periodic inspection to meter operators.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the arrangements are now, but they do.
But they had something in
Sorry,
place.
Joe,
that was
is
enough.
Joe going to chip in with that one?
We've got ACoole have got a contract with a large DNO, and we're going round and inspecting all the cutouts at the minute.
Okay.
So we're able to collate and give evidence of the equipment that the DNOs have got out there.
So that's taking photographs and stuff like that.
And using the thermal imaging camera as well to assess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're
spots.
USB-C or the old iPhone connection, it works on both.
It's an iPad that they use.
Oh, so you'll be on one or the other. I knew that.
Yeah, and a camera.
Okay. So they are actually taking responsibility.
Yes, they are. They've got obligation to do it.
That's their duty of care.
Does this
taken
come
care of.
back to that thing where we don't know how long stuff lasts for? So when I first started training, they said twin and CPC cables, PVC cables will last 25
Twin
years.
and Earth for anyone watching.
Twin and Earth, anyone watching in the real world. So they will last 25 years. Now I would have installed or rewired a property. Them cables are still sitting there. And they've been there but because we didn't know. Is it a similar thing with the process with DNO? These heads have been out there for a certain period of time that they don't know how long they actually last for.
Yeah. I mean, with any device, there's this what they call the bathtub curve, the failure curve, where if you plot on the x-axis the age of the asset, and on the y-axis is how often they fail. Young assets, what they call infant failures, usually it's quite high, and then it comes down, flattens off in the middle, and then as it gets towards the end of life, then this curve goes up again. So there's this happy area in the middle where the assets are installed, operating nicely, they don't fail very much at all. When they get towards the end of the life, that failure rate starts to increase, the DNOs become aware of it, and then they come up with a program of replacement. So we're talking some of the old cutouts, phenolic stuff, the metal-clad stuff, they will have been starting to go up this curve, and the DNOs will therefore tackle those and replace so many per year. But conversely, the ones that are operating nicely, there's not much of an argument to replace them with new kit just for the sake of it, because there's a chance you could introduce something that then fails at an early stage.
You're starting the other curve, aren't you?
Yeah, the start of that bathtub curve. So there's arguments for and against. So you can't. The DNOs will say, and any asset management organisation really, any assets, they won't just replace them necessarily without good reason, and not just on time based. It has to be justified by decisions of how long these things are likely to last and what condition they're in.
And safety issues.
And
Exactly.
That leads me nicely to one of your products, David, which is in front of us here, which is a switch similar to what we see before, and I bet there's 2 screws in it. Okay, but we're going to have a look at it from the point of view that you've introduced a surge device on there. So there must be a reason that we've introduced a surge that actually will benefit the customer within the dwelling itself. So just talk me through why this one has a surge and what the benefit is to the person owning the property.
Well, with the introduction of the latest regs, the surge protection became a big issue. So a lot of people didn't want to go through the procedure of replacing a whole consumer unit, having a house rewired, etc. So this gives you the opportunity to put your safe meter isolation in, and at the same time provide the whole installation with surge protection.
Yeah.
So for a relatively small fee, simple job, you've then brought the installation further up to regulation standards.
Yeah, so the consumer within the dwelling is probably of an age, so it could be dual RCD, it might be plastic, but again, that doesn't mean it needs ripping out. Maybe if we haven't done any wiring within the installation, but a surge event, trying to get one of them in that older board means they're going to change it, and then obviously there's a great chance that somebody suggests you need a lot more work doing than you need doing.
Yes.
But by having it fitted in there, you've actually added that layer of protection in and not interfere with the wiring system.
Correct, yeah. So, as I say, somebody like Joe's company comes along, a lot of people, especially social housing, those kinds of people, want to upgrade, but as you say, don't want to go to the expense of ripping everything out and rewiring the house and all the mess and stress that causes. So by doing that, you've provided that additional protection as well as the meter isolation as well.
And yeah, and again, if that was in an outside box, from the tenant's point of view, they probably wouldn't even know it's almost happened, would they? All of a sudden, they've had the surge arrestor inserted, but yeah, we're off and running. That's really clever, isn't it? I didn't think of that, because when I saw these coming out, I was like, oh yeah, and I didn't apply the logic that you taught to me earlier on with that. Gordon.
Yeah. Now, Robert, here's a question for you. Do you think, obviously now, the way we use electricity is changing? And obviously there's a lot of loads now that people install, those EV chargers that are on for hours. Heat pumps coming on, could be on for months. Do you think you'll see an increase in instances of obviously electrical problems?
I think almost certainly, yes. So the failures that we see are often related to high load, but the sustained part is the bit which I think is most significant. So we used to see a lot where storage heaters would come on for the first time after a summer period. The storage heaters would then kick in. The system would then suddenly be on load for several hours overnight while those cold storage heaters are charging up. And it may be that the wiring had been disturbed during the summer period or whatever. But there would be a spate of fires in the autumn when storage heaters would kick in. And now we're seeing similar things, but at any time of year when certain low carbon technologies are installed, such as heat pumps or electric vehicles, because they do draw the current for a longer period of time. And as I'm hoping we'll demonstrate tomorrow when we do a bit of an on-load test in the
laboratory
in the lab over there, it takes a while for things to get up to temperature. And as Gary said, older stuff with lots of brass, it can take a while to heat up. But sometimes it can be a matter of 6-7 hours until the maximum temperature is reached. So that means you get a short-term overload. You can probably put these things on load for, say, twice their rating for an hour a day without any problems. Not all equipment, but we can probably show that some equipment can safely sustain that. But when you start drawing current for longer periods of time, hotter temperatures, degradation, oxidization, heating and cooling effects will again loosen the connection as well. So, yeah, the answer is yes. I think so.
Harvest time for the electrical investigators, I think we call it.
It's, the whole world's going electric. Thank you very much. Yeah,
on the other hand, there are things like CTs on some EV chargers which monitor the current to try and keep it below the fuse rating, but you can still end up drawing a sustained high current.
Yeah, you can be very close to that maximum where it's never been there for that length of time. Yeah, interesting one that one is. So that's the trend. Can we have my video now?
We can have your video now, Gary.
I mean,
yes.
I even saying it, it's like me having my own Rick one, but I didn't, did I? Because Rick jumped over the top of me. Let's bring me in and have 3 minutes again. Now, I wish this was a fortnightly segment here on eFIXX TV, like Rick's Tool Time, because I've got Kieran from LEW Electrical Distributors joining me, and they've just run a campaign that's dear to my heart called Love Your Apprentice. Can you give us some details about it, Kieran?
100%, yeah. So we run Love Your Apprentice every year around February, all linked with Valentine's Day. The idea is to celebrate apprentices in our industry and the great work they do.
If I was entering this year, just to remind the people what they had to do to get to this final shortlist.
Very simple. Take a picture on the tools at your day job, send it into marketing at lewelectrical.co.uk. We pick a shortlist. The shortlist pictures go up onto our Facebook page, and our Facebook following pick their winner.
Oh, so it wasn't picked by the actual branches themselves, it was picked by Facebook, so independently picked for those winners.
Exactly, yeah.
And there are 3 prizes given up today, but who sponsored those prizes for us?
So our 2 main sponsors for the promotion are CK Tools and Fluke. They've submitted the prizes in for the 3 winners.
Because there's a shortlist out there, people will be on that shortlist now wondering whether they've got one of the 3 prizes. Should we do it in ascending order, 3rd place first?
Yeah, 100%. Let's start with that. So in 3rd place, we've got Ben Orton at Orton Electrical, an LEW Doncaster customer of ours, sometimes use our Gainsborough and Mansfield branch. Ben, you have won the CK screwdriver set.
Okay, that is a fantastic prize. Starting any apprentice off with a decent set of tools obviously means you have a decent job at the end of it, Kieran, don't you?
Yes.
Now in 2nd place, I'd imagine this will be even better.
In 2nd place, we've got Harry Mills of ADR UK, based in Banbury. The entry came through actually the eFIXX promotion of this campaign 2 weeks ago.
Oh, fantastic. So we're going to get heavily involved in this next year. So in our 1st year as us at eFIXX being involved, we've got a winner in there. And I'd just like to note that that winner wasn't an LEW customer, because I can see what happens is walk into the branch, they encourage the electrician to nominate their apprentice. So obviously it's heavily weighted towards customers you've already got, but eFIXX have managed to get 2nd prize.
So for that, they get a screwdriver set and a Fluke T90 voltage continuity tester.
Now, drum roll, please, as we go into 1st place.
So in 1st place, we have Layla Pargeter of Elite Electrical, a customer of our LEW Grimsby branch. Layla, you have won the CK Premium Electricians Toolkit, a Fluke 1AC voltage detector, a 113 multimeter, and a 323 clamp meter.
I think I'm just going to fall off my chair with those prizes. An apprentice picking up that bundle is a fantastic way to elevate you to the next level as you're obviously training through to becoming that electrician. So obviously the other entries, obviously they're now crying in their soup because obviously they didn't win, but you've got some exciting news for them as well, haven't you?
Yeah, no losers on this campaign. So every entry that has participated in this promotion will get a £5 free Greggs voucher. So we'll be looking at sending those out at the end of this week.
Now, we get a better connection with you now than we've ever had. LEW are now supporting our eFIXX live streams, and we're certainly going to be involved in the campaign in 2026. And I expect my electrical community, I've got over 135 college lecturers currently. Fantastic. Give me a year, I'll have a few more in there. And I expect more and more of our eFIXX community to actually be up and hopefully winning some of these wonderful prizes. But what a great campaign that you're actually supporting the grassroots of the electrical industry as an electrical wholesaler in our industry, and you've been doing it for many years. Thank you ever so much, Kieran, for supporting that.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for all the entries.
Thank you ever so much for LEW for not only supporting this live stream, and they will do for many months to come as well, but also supporting apprentices in our electrical industry, which is tip your hat to that, and we will be properly involved in that one in 2026, and that's something I'm personally looking forward to. What I am looking forward to is also Comments Corner, where we've got 3 absolute geniuses up there, so we're going to kick to them and find out some of the questions we've had tonight.
I think he's
seamless transition now, folks.
Comments Corner.
Okay, well,
Chris, you don't need to stand up.
Oh, hang on, sorry, hang on. There we go. Right, so we're all at the same level now. Okay, there we go. So we've had a lot of debate going on, and it's been fiery in the chat tonight. One of the big debates was about whether you should drill asbestos boards or not, whether that's safe when you're spraying it with water. So that was quite a healthy debate, that one. One question from JMC Electrical, and this may be something Dr. Rob could help us out with. Points out every client should have an isolator fitted so that the property can be shut off like a fireman's switch on a business. How are they getting away with this? So why doesn't every property have an isolating switch in the meter cupboard or built into the meter?
It didn't used to. It wasn't the
No, it's just legacy practice, isn't it? I think it's a relatively recent thing. Do you know when that was brought in, Joe?
I have no idea what year.
I know that some new builds, it's a convenience for the DNO to install the cutout up to the isolator, and then the installation can come along afterwards.
On new builds, we generally fit the meter and an isolator at that point. So the meter installers, the suppliers, would fit the isolator on most of new builds. But when did new builds become new builds?
Whitecliffes would like to roll it out across the whole of the UK, imminently.
It's the old historic
I think it's a great
ones.
idea.
Okay. Yeah, so do I. So do I. And going back to Comments Corner as well.
You had a problem at yours.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. Yes, we'll come back to that in a minute. So going back to Comments Corner, let's see what else we've got up there. Look, startled again.
We've been getting lots of nice compliments about the double pole isolator with the built-in surge protection device. You'll be pleased to hear, Dave. So lots of people are complimenting you on that. It's a good bit of kit, and some people have installed them, which is really good. So yes, any other questions that we want to bring up?
Sorry, thank you. We've had a question regarding the price, Joe. We've had a comment by Marky D, who quoted quite earlier on in the show. he had a quote for £176.72 for the isolating switch to be, yeah. So everything was done for £176.72. Is that approximately the current price?
It's competitive, our price. It may be a bit less than that, actually.
Okay. Can we just bring that photograph back in as well, that price one? This is actually a really good photograph of maybe Joe, and then we're going to go with Robinson to actually take a screenshot here of the guys up in the actual top section, Joe. So this is actually 3 stages of hair loss for you, Joe. You're currently at your stage. You're going to progress on to Chris's stage and eventually end at the fellow Joe's stage. And I'd just like to say, they're looking at you with envy, okay, but the rest of the world doesn't exactly look at you with envy with that haircut.
Just bear in mind there's a massive delay here, so I won't be able to get that screenshot for a second or two, but I will get it when it comes up. And I did notice as I was looking down at the screen, that is not a flattering angle for me. That really does reveal the extent of my hair loss. I'll be bringing that a little bit higher. Hang on.
Megamind, was that the superhero character? I don't know. I'm not very good at things like that. But brilliant. Okay.
Yes, it was Megamind.
Was it Megamind? Did I get it right? I never get anything right. So yeah, that's good. And I would suggest we've had our own Megamind in today.
Yes, I will. We'll just be, we've probably got just on the prices here. Something because I had an email in from a viewer before this actually.
You've got a friend, have you?
No, it was an actual email from there. So I said I'd bring this up. So there's still obviously safe isolation providers. Anyone can deal with you. Electrician can phone you up.
Yeah.
And you can go to any property.
Yeah.
And fit the isolator and do whatever they have to do. Because we had an email in from someone who'd phoned let's say an energy company that has an 8-legged device as its logo. I don't want to get into trouble with them again. And their operator basically didn't want anything to do with fitting the isolator.
Yeah, I find that bizarre because historically a meter installer was the only person who could fit the isolator.
Yeah.
So
it's not the DNO. It's on the output of the meter, so it's the meter people's responsibility.
Yeah. So I think it's probably because of the time scales. They can't offer quick appointments, quick turnaround on appointments, and now there's a few more safe isolation providers. That business has been outsourced from them.
But what I found, I went on their website and just typed in isolation switch in the search bar, thinking it would pop up as an FAQ, phone us, nothing. And I've seen that on a few energy suppliers' websites. It's almost like they don't want anything to do with it.
They're target driven on fitting smart meters.
Yeah.
So they really haven't got time to actually just be fitting isolators.
Right.
So we're filling that gap really, because we're not fitting smart meters, we're just fitting the isolators. So our turnaround is a lot quicker, a lot more efficient. Plus, we'll also assess the DNO equipment for you and report it directly to the DNO, so you electricians don't have to do anything.
You want your hands of that.
So we will do that for them. We'll find out when the DNO have actually been and upgraded the cutout, then we'll contact the customer again and go and fit your isolator, and then the electrician can come along and fit.
Do their work.
I
think you've got 2 choices, haven't you? Yeah. Well, 3 choices. You can try and go through the hoops and loops with the energy supplier. Yeah. You can obviously carry on as a lot of people do and do it themselves, and we've hopefully gone through all of the risks and problems, and you've probably hopefully learned something from them. Check out those links in the description to get your training in, or you can speak to someone like A Coole Electrical, and you will just take care of that for on a large project. That's not an unreasonable price, is it? For that, I'd say that sleeping at night actually is what I call it.
To remove that risk from you and pass it on to somebody else and have a tangible paper trail that you didn't touch any of that equipment. I think from a consumer unit onwards, I think most electricians would feel incredibly comfortable about guaranteeing their work. Go anywhere near that service head, giving it a wiggle, and just put yourself in a world of trouble for no money. There's no electrician out there who works for themselves ever going to be worried about that small amount of money. 2 weeks turnaround is maximum sort of thing.
Yeah.
So again, most people are planning more than 2 weeks out, aren't they?
Yeah,
Surely,
sure.
To get that done.
We can do it quicker, obviously, sometimes if we're in the areas.
Right.
But we have got engineers all over the country, and we do, you know, cover Scotland to Cornwall. So, you know, just give us a call and we'll try and fit you in as best we can.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I think that's been properly one of the best we've ever done. I think, Joe, you were fantastic, and I think the feedback from the audience isn't lying, that you're brilliant and you know your stuff. Well done for coming in and giving us that.
Thank you very much.
Weren't the quickest on the race wall, so I've got out of that. So you were third this evening, which is admirable, to get third. And you're obviously on that board over there. You did really well.
Thank you.
And I think you were, almost, you're on the best board, which is good. And you're a brilliant guest as well, Dave. I think you've got some brilliant products and the feedback's on that as well. If I wanted to get hold of any of your stuff, where can I get hold of it from?
All good wholesalers around the country.
Okay, you paused there. You
did
say
bad ones as well.
all good wholesalers. They're not all good wholesalers, but the ones that are good, obviously stocking your stuff, and that's Whitecliffe. And what we got?
Joe's short on his EIC. Your night out with Barry from EastEnders, Gary.
Oh yes, bring it in.
Do you know what incredible work is done by the Electrical Industries charity? To shed some light on this, Brooke and Mayo have invited myself and Gary to attend a fundraising ball in Nottingham. Okay, so I'm here with Simon Hildridge and we're down at the Crown Plaza in Nottingham. You're putting on quite a special event. So what's all this about, Simon?
So tonight we've got Sean Williamson. He's better known as Barry from EastEnders. The charity, they don't just support the sparky who falls off a ladder. If somebody falls on hard times, if somebody's got mental health issues, if somebody's feeling suicidal, just somebody who's suffering from whatever, if it's somebody within the family who's fallen hard, not the actual contractor or somebody who works in the industry, they'll also support the family on that as well. But it's 120 years old, not everybody still knows about it, and we're trying to raise £120,000 this year. That's what we're doing this evening.
The evening didn't disappoint with a raffle, games like Higher and Lower, and the very funny Sean Williamson. The highlight was the auction with some incredible lots available, including this magical little number snapped up by Gary, who I'm afraid to say had one too many shandies. So let's find out how much money was raised tonight. Have we got a slight idea about how much money we've raised so far?
About 13k.
And you've got to remember, this money goes back into the electrical industry to support those that may have come across hard times.
We need somebody there for us from time to time, and if we can offer that help, we will.
So we had Sean, Barry from EastEnders, and we had Wayne Mardle there at the end for any darting fans. Okay, so that has got a whiff of Wayne Mardle there. Brilliant event. Yes, I attended it. I did drink too much. Yes, I spent a lot of money on a wand signed
We're waiting to see that wand come in, actually.
Yeah, it's just, I am a sucker when it comes to a charity event. The one before I went, I bought a good friend of mine, Tester, in order that he is, and he's sent me a video today, and he is on the mend, so we'd like to thank him for that as well. So we won't name him this time, okay, just give him a bit of privacy, but he's recovering, but it's a slow recovery.
I'm looking forward to one of you, because obviously you've got your wand now,
yes,
and we've got Hammond with these divining rods that he reckons he can find cables with. You see, you might be interested in this, Rob. It's a new technology. You can apparently, and I'd watch it. If anyone hasn't been over to LinkedIn, there's a great session we had looking at some innovations in EV charging where Joe describes his process for finding electric cables with divining rods.
Okay. And again, anyone who is on LinkedIn and wants to follow eFIXX, the Electricians channel over there, I recommend it because you get to see a different insight into the team, don't you? You see everybody on the team peels back and gives you insight into what they're doing at work, which doesn't go out on any of the social media platforms. And if you love the fact that we've got Joe or JR or Young Joe or whatever you want to call him on the team, he gives in insightful things into his editing skills, viral videos and all the rest of it. It's a real interesting thing to see. So that's the Electricians channel over on LinkedIn. We'd love to see a follow from you if that's something that's really sort of floats your boats. We'd also like to thank our great guests this evening. We'd like to thank you, Joe, for joining us. You've been amazing. We'd like to thank you, David. You talked a little bit too much and had to rein you in towards the end, but we got there in the end. And we'd like to thank the greatest guest we've ever had on eFIXX, and it's back again. And it's Mr. Dr. Robert Weller. Okay, thank you. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well. We got the G-Dog and myself. We're back in a fortnight. We've stopped doing it weekly now for a while. We're back in a fortnight, but we're not going to tell you what the subject matter is because we thought this one was that great that you'll come back regardless. Roll the end credits and thank you.
Got a job to do, make it right. We bring the pros, the sheds of life. Fire safety, that way too. We got the knowledge just for you. Dr. Weller's here. Fire's no joke, what's off the spark? What goes up in smoke? Joanne, got the safety game, isolation right. Don't risk the lane. David Vs on switchgear flow, keep it raw and standard. Now you know. eFIXX TV, switch it on. got the skill.